Last couple of weeks we've been following David Morris as he battled to free himself from temptation and dependency. It has been a 5-month journey through rehabilitation, and David joins us now with drug counsellor Richard Smith. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to say, firstly, David, to you, thank you so much for allowing cameras to follow you on this. What were your thoughts when you were approached to see whether you'd like to be involved?
The first I really knew about it was when I fronted up at the retreat. I was in a bit of a haze at the time, obviously.
Yeah.
Richard had asked me a couple of days before, and I'd gone out playing, and so got up to the retreat, and they asked would I like to be involved, and I sort of went, well, I'm not doing anything better, so. Yeah.
Good stuff. And from your perspective, was that a difficult process to then, because our story took place over a couple of months, was that difficult to look at David that you were on that first day?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've been through mental and physical changes, but I sort of accepted that would be the case, and it's been pretty smooth riding.
Richard, did it occur to you that perhaps this might not be a good idea? To follow someone around who's going through rehabilitation? I mean, something like that could potentially tip someone back.
Well, so far everyone that I've been involved with that has done media with me are still clean today. So sometimes it puts a bit of pressure on them, you know. And but it's good for him to view the video of early recovery and remember where he's come from. And it's sort of like, wow, I don't want to go back to looking like that or feeling like that, because when you're there, you don't know. You really don't know. You got a problem, but you really don't know how to do it. So, you know, any opportunity to let people know there's a way out of this, because there's lots of media about the problem and there's not much about the solution.
Just on that, you said that, you know, every time you do media with somebody, they seem to remain in recovery. How nervous are you about that, though? How nervous are you about sending someone like David away from the clinic and hoping that he's going to stick to the road of recovery?
Well, after he leaves the clinic?
Yeah. Or as he leaves, you know, as you're saying, right, you're ready to go now. Yeah. How nervous are you?
I'm always a bit anxious about clients when they leave our program, but we try and keep them involved in some sort of outpatient, some sort of aftercare. And that's the important bit. Getting clean in the first 90 days is just the beginning of their life. You know, they've got a platform to go out and live their life. So, you know, I'm anxious, you know, even for people that are 10 years clean.
Yeah.
Is that the way you feel, David? Do you feel like it's a platform to start the rest of your life?
Yeah, I was just sort of thinking also about people leaving. I mean, there's other people who've gone through this process, and, you know, it's sort of everyone's equal in this thing. So it's not, you know, I've had some exposure, but people who haven't get just as much, you know, care as
Sure. Yeah, and you make a good point, exactly. It's not just that you're on the TV.
Yeah. Sorry, what was it?
The question was, you know, when you... Actually, I forgot too.
Can I ask you a question? What occurred to you to make you want to go into rehabilitation? How do you arrive?
Yeah.
Because many don't. I mean, what happens to the person that arrives at that decision?
Well, I think they call it rock bottoms, and like various people, it's sort of like, you know, you hit a rock bottom and they might go, well, I've got another one I can go to. It's like bump, bump, bump down the hill. And
so you're cognizant of the fact that you're going downhill?
I knew I was messed up.
But you didn't wake up and go, hey, I'm going to go into rehab today?
No, there was encouragement from my family. I was sort of in communication with my brother, but it was obviously, you know, a damaged relationship because of the way, the shape I was in. And he just sort of said, hey man, I've got an interview with Richard, front up if you want to do it. So he put it in front of me. I managed to get to the door, spoke with Richard on a Thursday or Friday, went out that weekend, had a wild binge, fronted up on Monday. And that was when you did that first interview.
You always find that it's always an intervention from somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, and usually family are the ones that we hurt the most. And if it's not that, it's the law, or, you know, a drink drive, or you've ended up in prison for something.
Typically when people come to you, can you look at them and say, yes, they're ready to have a go, they're ready to clean up their lives? Are there some who turn up and you just say...
Do you have the spruik?
Half-hearted.
I actually have to sell recovery to them.
Yeah.
In other words, encourage them to come in. The reality is nobody wants to change their life that dramatically. So it's a hard sell.
Well, it's a crutch.
It's a hard
Sure.
sell. And for us, it's a simple sell because we've been there, you know. I've recovered. David's recovered. Everyone that works at our clinic has recovered, you know. So it's sort of kind of like you walk into a new environment of recovery.
How do you sell it then? What do you say? What's the?
Well, you want what I've got.
Well, like when Richard walked in the door, I went, this seems like a pretty charismatic cat, you know. Like, and, he, you know, he told me a few stories. He's a bit of a colourful character. And, yeah, we can relate because we've had similar backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, just something... Yeah.
Does it make sense to you? Is life better? Because, you know, we've all had our binges and, you know, we've felt, wow, this is great.
It's all a bit of a mystery to me, David, like this recovery. It's a bit like being on drugs, but it's, you know, like they talk about natural high. I never believed in that when I used to, in active addiction. Like, you know, that's for the hippies and the new ages. Yeah. But it is real. And, you know, it feels strange saying it. But if you get through, obviously the first few months are very rocky. And, you know, your nerves are frazzled and you're sick. But it gets better.
Does the temptation remain? What is it? It's 5 months now. Does the temptation remain?
Not literally, but it comes out in other ways. Like, it might come out in, like, you know, fascination with women, fascination with material things. You know, sort of your obsession goes into other areas of life because it can't act out before you used to act it out with drugs. Yeah. So you look, you know, it's like a monkey looking for another game to play. So you got to just be very aware of it, and people around you can keep you in tune.
Your main vice, if I can use that word, from what I saw on the stories, was alcohol. Do you look back now and think about the damage to your body, to your brain?
Well, actually, when I went in, alcohol was a daily thing, but actually I was also on an opiate medication, and I had used other drugs, so I was really your sort of multiple.
Multiple addictions.
Yeah, alcohol was, the thing that really got me undone.
So do you worry about? Do you think now that you're sober, do you think about the effects on your body? Do you?
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, you look
course,
so physically different now.
Yeah, I mean, I think about how it's affected my mind and so forth, but I think it's like, you know, ageing process. Every day is a new day. I mean, you can live in the past and sort of go, I shouldn't have had that relationship. You know, this girl broke my heart or whatever. But you move on.
You did, and you move on.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
It's not so much about the drug, really. It's about the addiction. And David's a stereotypical throwback from the 70s, you know. He used heroin, he was in rock and roll bands, and then substituted, you know, one for another, was on methadone and drinking. You know, that's where I was 22 years ago. So it's sort of now, it's a different combination of drugs. Yeah. So we still treat the same addiction, we still treat the same problem.
You bring up an interesting point. Does the nature of addiction, has it changed? Do treatments change? I'm thinking specifically these days, the 70s, typically heroin or booze or even, you know, marijuana perhaps. These days we now have ice, which wasn't really there back then. Does that lead to... So if you're dependent on ice, does it lead to other addictions, which means you have to focus a different method on treatment?
No, it's not other addictions, it's addiction.
Well, okay.
And it's just different substances. What you're looking at is the physiology is different. So the physical effects on the body are different, the recovery process is different. The same with alcohol, you know, that's far more damaging. So alcohol and ice would be the two worst drugs, followed closely by cannabis. They're the three worst drugs that we treat. They're the most difficult to treat.
Alcohol, ice, and then cannabis.
Yeah, those three drugs, and now we get them in combinations where people are doing all three, and doing, you know, benzodiazepines like Valium. You know, there's the withdrawal process physically is sometimes significantly different, but actually the psychological aspect, the emotional and the social aspect is still identical, and the spiritual aspect's identical. So the recovery process is identical. It's just that the first, you know, 90 days we've got an issue of physical withdrawal.
The future for you? How's it going?
Very
what happens
well.
now?
Music, writing, performing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at.
Look, it's just great to meet you and good to see you again, Richard. And
Thank you.
Good luck on your recovering, on your
Recovery.
ongoing recovery. Yeah.
Thank you
Thanks so
very
much for your time.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
And we'll be back after this.